Just a few days ago, Ghost Signals was asking the community about the new Battlegrounds experience. I decided last night to dive on in, so I dove in with a friend Bitcoin and instantly noticed I was surrounded by massive number of wings. Keep in mind, this is one of the first Battlegrounds matches that I've done the entire season, and this is the brand new map on top of that. I'm sitting at 3k res and was clearly in a match here with players that heavily outclassed me. Now, I'm assuming that this happened because of the whole teaming up with another player and having to go in. So it brought me in with players that were at Bitcoin's level. He being a bigger spender, being able to have a lot more res than me, put him in a match with people that had wings and resonance much higher than I had. But that wasn't the point of this video. What I really want to do is look at what the community had to say regarding Ghost Signals question. Now, he was asking the community about how they feel about this update. I actually really like this. I like that he cares what the community thinks, and I think it's important that as a community manager for any game that you do get the context and the sentiment from the community, whether it be good or bad. So Ghost Signals is doing a good job as that community manager for Diablo Immortal. So basically, he's looking for some data and details on what people think. Let's take a look at what the community thinks. And we have Jamster coming in with the first response. Blizzard proudly claimed in their patch notes that the new Battlegrounds would be balanced PvP experience. Nothing could be further from the truth. All right, so clearly this person is not into the new Battlegrounds experience. Let's hear why. And as always, if you agree, disagree, leave your comments and your thoughts about this topic in the comments section. And while you're down there, remember to subscribe. First problem, bosses you kill in the middle. The kill is decided based on the last hit on the boss. Utterly ridiculous as it's complete potluck even if you're dominating. That's actually crazy. You could land one hit on the boss and get the credit for that kill. If one player on the opposing team survives and gets the last hit, they get the buffs for their team. Ridiculous to copy paste the same flawed system from Tower PvP. Second problem, the map itself heavily favors classes with extreme movement, particularly Tempests and Monks, and to a lesser degree, Satyrs. I've tried to compensate for this by adding portals, but it makes, you have tried to compensate by adding portals, but it makes no difference as those classes can simply zip to you in a heartbeat. Demon Hunters and Wizards in particular may as well not bother playing this map ever. Third problem, the map's objectives heavily favor barbarians. The story of the tape so far from what I've seen, whichever team has the most barbs in the team wins. So you've again created a Battlegrounds environment where you can literally open the team roster and start at the start and know the outcome before the gates even open. That was not the case with me being a barbarian in the match that I just experienced, but again, that was a whole different story. Fourth problem, the enduring issue of class balance. Until you finally go back to your darn drawing boards and start balancing classes properly, you'll never create a balanced PvP system, and this is only exaggerated in a pay-to-win environment, and more so by creating the map that heavily favors classes that can zip around the map at the leisure. I will say, balancing classes, when you have 8 different classes, 9 classes incoming, is easier said than done to make sure that with all of those skills, all of those essences, that everything is perfectly balanced. That's a difficult task. Now, I know that Jamster here is not saying that everything needs to be perfectly balanced. What Jamster's saying is that things are very unbalanced, and they're unhappy about that and frustrated by it as well. That's not specific to this Battlegrounds problem, but it definitely is accelerated and accentuated because of it. The fifth problem, you're time locking the Battlegrounds map to only be playable on set times during the day. For goodness sake, give the players a choice. Let us play whatever map we want when Battlegrounds is open, not be forced to just adjust our play schedule to the map we want to play. So the reason that this is happening, in my opinion, is the lack of people playing Battlegrounds and the queue times that you're going to have if it's not more niched down. If you could play Battlegrounds at any time during the day and you're not forced to play within a certain window, the players are going to be more dispersed and the wait times are going to be longer. This is a problem with the number of players interested in playing Battlegrounds. You have a pay-to-win mechanic, heavy, which has actually become even more apparent to me as of late since I'm playing another game that's absolutely zero pay-to-win. And because of the pay-to-win mechanic really kind of blocking many players out from being successful at a high level, and Diablo Immortal doesn't have the most players. I mean, I don't know the number of active players they have, but it's not the most of mobile games. They run into an issue with queue times and people waiting to get in. So that's really the reason that they have the different times. Sixth problem, the map is bugged. Every time you get a kill, the game freezes. For goodness sake, test your game. All right, so obviously Jamster's pretty upset here. I wish that he was sharing the thoughts here without being so, a little bit negative about it. I did not experience any, well, actually, I didn't experience any freezing or anything like that of the game. I'm wondering if that's device specific, but I'm assuming it's not, since I'm sure it doesn't happen in other areas of the game for Jamster. But let's hear what Guy has to say. Main issue with the new Battleground map is that you must play in a party of 2. There are many players, including myself, that have difficulty arranging a party. This is well known to you, and why implement a party finder mode for almost all actives. I actually like that you could go in with a friend. Finally, we're able to play together with someone without trying to manipulate the system and just make, lucky draw happen. But I don't think that it should be something that's required. Please implement the party finder mode for this new map as well, just like the old map, taking into consideration a match with a player very close to your own level, resonance, etc. Yeah, that was what I ran into with my issue. Was I went in with someone with 8K plus res, and I'm sitting with 3K, and it heavily changed what the outcome of that match looked like. If I went in with someone with my own res, it would have been a very, very different story. Even with the Battlegrounds rank that I went in with. The same inherent issues with imbalanced classes is present here as well. Okay, imbalanced classes again. Actually, let me read this whole thing. I truly wish you would try and understand that all players wish to have fair and balanced classes in battles, since it's much more enjoyable than killing others with ease or being killed very quickly over and over. You can verify this yourself by doing simple survey of all players. I understand, but completely disagree with the idea. That's by always having imbalanced classes that'll create more revenue, since some players will spend. I don't know if the imbalanced classes has to do with revenue. At the end of the day, anyone can for free swap to a different class and play as whatever the meta class is. That's my one thing that I kind of disagree with. Okay, so I'm a barbarian. I'm not a big PvPer, but I'm a barbarian player for the most part. And if Demon Hunter becomes the strongest class and is completely demolishing all other classes, I can very easily switch to the Demon Hunter. Now, obviously, I'm going to need to adjust my playstyle, practice with the class, but when you have a system where it's very difficult to balance classes, and you're going to have classes that are stronger than others, at least we're not being locked down to have to stay with the class that we have. We could swap at any time to those classes. So I guess what I'm trying to say is things could be worse, and we could be stuck with our class and just, crossing our fingers that our class is going to be the next one that's just OP. Okay. Oh, he also says something about cosmetics being expensive. So he's going on and complaining about all areas of the game. Let's see what Trap has to say. PvP is the worst thing in the game, and you do it more worse every update. No barbs and Crusader nerfs equals most cases a loss because of a ward staying on the idle. New map mode, PvP, showing that 95% of players still not playing for the objectives and chasing for kills. Matchmaking is broken. I don't want to play versus 6 barbs with 0 barbs in my team. All right, not a fan of the new map either, or maybe that's just PvP. What we're seeing here is a combination of complaints regarding PvP and complaints regarding the new map and PvP. We got Vitki saying, great, thanks for the new stuff. Now fix what has been broken forever. Matchmaking is still garbage. Team with the most tanks, specifically barbs, can, in most cases, steamroll other teams with next to no resistance. Barb's hammer range and damage is beyond absurd. The fastest, tankiest, most death-defying class should now also have the biggest burst damage in the game. Most melee classes now have equal range to ranged classes, especially in the case of the Tempest and Satyr. This makes the binary melee range system totally obsolete and could not factor into Battlegrounds matchmaking. A monk or blood knight is not an equal counter to a barb. Make class balances. My last point is an obvious pipe dream, but one that I feel the need to voice nonetheless. Resonance brackets are needed. I spend the majority of the season in Legend and therefore in 8K plus resonance lobbies. So I'm facing other people with double the resonance that he has. I'm not asking for rigid brackets, but at least put a cap on how far above you could be versus median in any given lobby. Some illusion of balance would be nice. That's not a bad idea. Having different brackets of resonance that can get to the top of the leaderboard. So have a 4K and less res leaderboard, and then a max res leaderboard. Again, that's narrowing the players that would have to play each other, which would then probably increase queue times. But not a bad idea. It's actually the first I've heard that one. And then we have Ruby Mage. I'll try to be as constructive here as possible. I really like the idea of the map, and it does have a great potential with some polishing. The two major concerns I'm having, by the way, I like how Ruby is addressing this in a more positive way. The Sacred Guardians buffs should go to the team who have damaged the Guardian the most. It's a bad design to let the last hit determine. All right, we heard that with that first comment as well. I 100% agree. Number two, you could also consider slowing down the idols a tiny bit, or maybe have a lesser Sacred Guardian spawn each checkpoint that the Guardian won't have until the team has killed it. All right, so I think that we've seen the most of the original complaints, and the other ones that we would see here are a lot of repeating similar things. I want to compare this to an experience that I've recently had. So I know I've said this on the channel before, but I'm playing another action RPG right now that has PvP in it. The game is Moko, and I'm playing it on my main channel, and it's very different than what we're looking at here. Moko is a Supercell game, very anime style, colorful, not a Diablo game. In my opinion, it's not even a direct competitor to Diablo, just because of the atmosphere that Diablo brings you into. I still absolutely love both games for different reasons. In Moko, you can only buy cosmetics. There's no way to buy power in the game, which is actually really nice. And it's kind of a big change from playing Diablo. Like here, we're locked in with our resonance level with a lot of the things that we do. And we become, after 3 years of playing the game, we get used to that. And it's kind of like, it's just what we are used to and the experience that we have. And it's just what we accept. Playing Moko, after level 15 or so, I unlocked PvP and I dove in. I'm like, holy cow. This was all very balanced and very equal. Every player is brought into PvP with equal power. You could choose the weapon that you want. Weapons are upgraded throughout the game with utilizing chaos cores, and it's done randomly. So you can't like hyper focus on one weapon, but it basically evenly upgrades all your weapons, gadgets, and skills. And when I was put into PvP, whether it be solo, duos, or big team, which is 10 versus 10, first of all, you run around and you kill like enemies to get these little tokens, and then you kill real people as well. It's actually amazingly fun, but everyone is the same power level. Everyone. You put together any build that you want, so you can try and gain advantages with builds that you put together, but everyone's power is the same. And it's something that I was just not used to anymore because of the system in Diablo Immortal. Now, the game strategy here by the developers to create the game is just completely different. Diablo Immortal built off of a pay-to-win mechanic to make a lot of money and be able to bring massive updates and bring you basically a AAA title on mobile. Moko is very different in that sense. It's much more of a mobile style game, the way that you would expect from like a Clash of Clans, or you know what, even better, the way you would expect from more of a Brawl Stars. But it's hell a lot better. This is not me telling you to come check out my main channel or to play Moko. If you want to, that's cool. But this is me showing that there is actually a different type of PvP out there that doesn't rely on the power that you buy. And it's insanely fun. And I've shared it with the community here. And what I've noticed is I'm seeing a lot of people from Diablo playing Moko specifically for that Battlegrounds experience or that PvP experience that it offers, because it's just better over there. And it's better because everything is evenly matched. And the players that win are the players with more skill, not the players with larger wallets. At the end of the day, the Battlegrounds map here is going to be a work in progress. Things are going to get changed. I could see the whole, killing the boss in the middle. I could see that getting changed because it does seem like a really silly mechanic as it is now. I could also see the matchmaking getting tweaked over time, over and over again. We know that things don't typically come in one tweak. But at the end of the day, I have faith that Blizzard is asking for and listening to community feedback and will make adjustments for it as well. Something that we're not going to get rid of, though, is the pay to win. That is embedded in Diablo Immortal, and unless if they decide to bring in game modes that have nothing to do with resonance or gems at all, or if they put together free-to-play servers that you could go and start a new account on, which I would probably never do anyway because I don't want to start over, this is going to be a mechanic of this game that we just need to accept and get used to. And if we don't like it, play the game for other reasons and not the PvP, and then play a game that offers PvP that's not a pay-to-win mechanic, so you could have a better PvP experience there. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Really curious on what you think of the new Battlegrounds map or on this topic overall. In the comments, I'll be taking a look. Have a great day.